and welcome back to the Review of Death, a Doctor Who podcast, your fortnightly place for Doctor Who news and reviews. And this week, before we get into the news, which is of course Series 13, aka Flux.
Whoa.
I know.
Our bookshelves just had a heart attack.
Yes, oh my God.
What is that going to look like on the spines?
A bloody mess, that's what it's going to look like. But before we get into that, before we get into that, we're going to be reviewing two 11th Doctor stories
I thought you
today.
were going to say the other actually bit of exciting news that's happened this week.
What's
which is
that?
Matt has treated himself to something quite remarkable, and I think you need to tell everybody at home.
I've bought a cyber leader. A full one, not a big proper one, not like a toy.
He's bought the bloke in it.
Yeah.
He has bought a full cyber leader outfit.
Yeah. Except for the gun. I need to
Which
get that
is
separately.
mad.
Yeah.
I think
Unfortunately, he doesn't do the guns.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a cyber leader suit. It should be arriving just in time for my birthday.
My God.
I'm very excited because I messaged him and I was like, I'm probably a bit ahead here by messaging you. I said, but I just want to find out the prices and stuff. I said, it's not until March. He's like, oh, no, that actually works out well. So obviously he's busy doing other projects.
Other commissions and stuff.
Yeah. So
wow.
Just slipped in.
So we could have another
We could
broski
have
added to the collection.
a cyber leader watching us.
I feel like we need some other representation from monsters.
Yeah, I know.
Here.
I was kind of thinking about getting a mannequin and sticking the Auton costume on it because that would be really, a mannequin's like 50 quid.
Yeah,
It would look quite good.
Like there is a quite an obvious bias in terms of the kind of Doctor Who that we like, visually speaking.
Yes.
Like I thought, we could borrow a trench coat and stick it on there.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah. Anyone got a brown trench coat that they want to lend us?
It'd be great because it's very classic.
Or anything,
series.
Anything from the new series?
I've got. I might.
That's a new series thing. The shit Daleks that nobody likes. And we got all the sonic screwdrivers. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, look, see.
But who's paying attention to these? I mean, half the people watching this might not even be bloody watching it.
They'll be listening to it. They're like, what are they talking about? Yeah.
So yeah, you've got a full-size cyber leader.
Attack,
leader.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I prefer the boots.
Are they more like moon boots or?
No, Earthshock have got like the big chunky moon boots, and then the attack ones have got the funny ones that they sort of wear in the 5 Doctors as well.
I don't.
They're like the sort of lace up ones at the front.
Oh,
apparently they're called. I can tell you what they're called. They're called like mulaks or mucklaks.
I don't think I've ever paid attention to
the footwear.
The footwear from that story, but
Yeah.
because like I know the footwear from Silver Nemesis quite well because that's like a Chelsea boot. with something wrapped over the with the tail over the top, which looks really odd.
It is weird,
Just
isn't
the
it?
way that their leg becomes their foot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, that's really exciting.
It's cool. Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, Doctor Who Flux.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Actually, one thing I would like to do first is, do you want me to tell you the title for Chapter 1? So this is just dropped in the last hour and a half. Maybe more like the last hour. The title for Chapter 1.
See, I was driving here, so I missed it.
And he jumped out of the car and I said, "Don't look at your phone. because I want to get this on camera as well. I'm going to film your reaction."
I thought something bad had happened. I
on
thought
Instagram.
all my information had been leaked.
No. Everybody's
all my
seen.
nudes.
He's seen everyone's willy on the internet. Right. Episode or Chapter 1 of Doctor Who Flux, Matt, is called The Halloween Apocalypse.
Interesting.
Is that all you have to say?
Not the best title in the world, I don't think, but yeah. I thought it was going to have something with the Sontarans in it. I thought it was going to be called like the Scouse Sontarans.
Sure. Yeah. Like I think I don't like it as a title. I don't think.
No.
The Halloween Apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the what? It's like Doctor Who's story title generator on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe when we watch the episode, we'll see if we can think of a better title.
Yeah. Although, Chris Chibnall was handed Resolution and didn't call it Resolution of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Maybe titles aren't his forte.
Maybe not.
The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos.
I mean, that is just... I'm amazed you remember the name. I'm
amazed you don't. It's such a great story.
I was worried
I'm joking.
then. I was like, you're not being serious.
Don't worry, we are joking. Anyway, so Flux. We've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
We now know episode 1 or Chapter 1. Do you like the idea of chapters instead of episodes? It's a new thing.
It's a new thing. Why not?
Probably won't get ever repeated ever again.
I'm sure there were people who went, "What? They've changed it from episode to part? How dare they?"
Sure.
Back in the day. So
in my day, every episode had a different title, so we got really confused if we missed a week.
Yeah.
Why are we suddenly in Rome? I think that the trailer was absolutely brilliant.
It was really good. So the funny thing is, obviously it aired on Graham Norton.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was home with me, my brother, and just for the people who are listening, hello, I'm Matt, by the way.
I'm
this
Billy.
Is Billy. Yeah. We always do this. So we were watching Graham Norton. I was like, come on, they're going to show the trailer, And he's like, what's the point? It's going to be rubbish. I was like, don't talk like that.
He always says that.
He always says that. And we watched it, and he was like, yeah, that actually looked quite good. And then he said later on, because it came on the TV, there's like a shorter TV trailer that's been going around. And he said, I gotta say, it does look good. He said, it does look like one of the better ones. He said, but, you can never tell from the trailers. I was like, Johnny, you liked the Dalek story. And he was like, oh, yeah, that is true. That was good, the Christmas one, or New Year's one.
The festive one.
He said, so I did like that. He said, that is true. He said, I did like the Cyberman stuff. He said, until it all went weird and went to Gallifrey. He said, I didn't like that. He said, but I did like the one with Mary Shelley and stuff. So he's not completely... He likes to say that he's completely opposed to all this new series stuff, but
I think like most people that have built a career shouting about women playing leading parts on the internet, they probably actually don't mind.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think I get into that mindset a little bit. I'm
not saying Johnny's one of them.
No. But I do get into the mindset of like, I know that I've not enjoyed this as much as other series, so when it comes up to it, my enthusiasm for the series is quite low, but then all it takes is a nice trailer like we had the other night for me to go, ooh!
What I thought was really nice was the way Graham Norton sort of led into it.
Yeah.
Because, I get the impression he quite likes Doctor Who. He's always...
He's bloody interrupted it enough.
Maybe he's just, paying us back by, having all the doctors on his radio show or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who kind of, comes up a fair few times around Graham Norton. And I just like the fact that when he said, this is the new trailer for a Doctor Who, and he turned around and he was...
Very good impression. I'm very impressed.
And he turned round and he went something like, no, this is the new trailer, but it is good. Yeah. It is really good. And it was that kind of, like, it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But look at this trailer. It was that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, well, maybe, that kind of helped pushing the general audience into it, I think. Yeah. Maybe going, let's benefit of the doubt. It's Doctor Who, but let's watch the trailer.
Yeah. Mad, isn't it, to think that if we went back 12 years to the Russell years... the first time round, that wouldn't even be considered. It would just be, here's a trailer for Doctor Who and you're going to love it. That would be it. And people would have just been like, holy shit, yeah, amazing.
Exactly. And then the trailer happened and it was really cool.
It was very good. And before we get into the nitty gritty, can I just say, Jodie on Graham Norton was lovely.
Yeah, her doing her R2D2 scream at Coldplay.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, bless her. Oh.
She's been such a great person to kind of represent the show on late nights and kind of in interviews. She's been such a great ambassador, and I will miss her enthusiasm, I think, because she's just got this absolute just radiant everybody around her kind of gets lifted, and I think that's a really positive thing.
It was a shame. I don't think they really talk to her enough. They seem to talk to everybody else quite a lot. I guess she can't really say an awful lot.
Including, who was that old bird that was...
Dame Thingy?
Yeah, he was like, I'm just here to do the rude jokes about actors you've never heard of before. Right. It was just like, I didn't think she gave a lot. When you could have spoken to Jodie, this is her last full
This is her last
season.
One, yeah. And something that I picked up on, which I thought, this is going to really confuse people, is she was like, they're like, this is your last series, is like, but you do have 3 other episodes to come in the new year.
I mean, technically speaking, he's not wrong in saying other series.
Series, yeah.
So,
but I was surprised. Like, she never said, but there's 3 specials next year, and that's when I'm leaving.
And interesting, her talking about, I finished today. She had a rap party the night before.
Yeah.
Those photos were great. Her dressed as Miles Morales, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Everyone was going on about Chris Chibnall as the Kablam Man. I was like, no.
I think she's done something like that before. Didn't she wear a T-shirt at the at the panel?
Yeah,
Comic-Con?
she had a Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse T-shirt.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Chris Chibnall dressed as the Kablam Man is just brilliant. But I think that the trailer was really cool. I think that she has got I said this a lot in the last episode. I don't know why this word came up so many times. Agency on screen in the trailer. I feel like she's giving a lot in the show, and not that she hasn't before, but it just had a real dynamism, that trailer. I just thought, wow, this is really moving, and every shot was like sumptuous. Yeah, there was that kind of ash melting face. Yeah, that looked awesome, and that was like the first proper scary moment of the trailer. And then it all looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, it delivered, didn't it? It was like, here's some jokes, here's some scary bits, here's some monsters that you knew were coming back, here's some monsters that are new, here's some monsters that you didn't know were coming back.
Hell back on the Ood.
Yes.
And the Cybermen.
And the Cybermen. I was very surprised to see the Cybermen. The Ood, I was like, ooh, an Ood. That's cool. And then the Cybermen, I was like, oh, Cybermen.
Did you pick up, I think somebody might have mentioned it on Twitter the other day that I saw, that they may have gone back to Gallifrey in that sequence, and it seems that they were running away from the Cybermen. There was a press photo. They stood on that thing.
In that little corridor type thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
The other thing I was like, I really hope this is what this is I think there's some Death Zone vibes. I think there's some old Gallifrey vibes. There's some press photos of Jodie in like a very misty kind of, greeny area, but it's kind of a bit desolate and quarry-like, like the Death Zone was. Yeah. And then there was another photo of that Game of Thrones actor's character.
Vinder, who's a Bristol boy.
A Bristol boy.
Didn't know that.
Bristol born and bred.
And a fan. He likes Paradise Towers. Mad, but...
Good lad.
We'll have you on the podcast.
Yeah, you can join my club. He is stepping up onto like a plinth, and there's like 6 segments and these statue things. And
they sort of appear, don't they? They're sort of like wraith-like.
And he is apparently linked to the Division. Possibly is the rumor that people have been going around. They think that he's a Division member. I wonder, do you think he's the John Barrowman replacement in the series? Because I think reported to have shot quite a lot of material maybe for Series 13.
I think so. I think the plan was almost... I mean, obviously, it's very hard for us to say this, but if I was a betting man, let's put it that way, if I was a betting man, I would say that part was meant to be Captain Jack. Because why would you bring back Captain Jack in the New Year's episode?
To pop a rating for the festive special.
Pop a rating, but it was left sort of like, very open-ended, you could come back.
Aren't all of Jack's departures very open-ended, though? Apart from the time he literally died. Oh, no, he came back to life.
Yeah.
I feel like most of his endings are open-ended. Maybe. But maybe it was just like the hysteria around this character. It was like... any other character being randomly dropped into a TV series wouldn't usually yield a reaction of that's a replacement. Yeah. But I think that there must have been some concrete evidence to suggest that Barrowman was in Series 13.
And of course there was that book, wasn't there? There was the graphic novel, the Captain Jack graphic novel that they announced, and they were like, oh, this ties into episodes 2 and 3, I think, of the new series. And then of course that's now dropped.
There was some footage from the studio of John Barrowman, and he was wearing a slightly different costume, or stuff was being shot on a different day.
Oh, right.
People were in different costumes and he was in the background. Oh, no, maybe that was unrelated. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was some evidence to suggest he was in the series. Let's not sully this discussion with him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a good thing.
Let's talk about Sontarans, because we haven't talked about the Sontarans, because obviously they hadn't... Oh no! I hope they don't do that again. I hate Sontaran. That really annoyed me when they brought him back. So
okay,
please, Chibbers, don't do it.
Excuse me. I really like them.
Me too.
They look really cool.
They look really good.
Although I have seen some people going back and forth now, suddenly saying that they don't like them.
Well, I like their suits. I think the costume looks amazing. The makeup, I like it, but I do think it looks more obviously like a prosthetic than perhaps the Russell T Davies ones were, which I think I need to see them in motion.
Do you know why I think that might be? Just from memory.
Yeah.
It could be that, like, General Stahl, he had, like, quite a pronounced sort of, like, nose. Yeah. That was obviously full prosthetic. Yeah. Maybe they've moulded too much of the actor's actual face into the mask rather than like creating things that don't look like them.
Well, for me, what I sort of noticed, I thought that the cheeks and like the brow came out quite far, and so that the eyes were quite sunken in, and that just for me it made it seem more like mask-like.
Stike looks a bit like that, but then actually Stike's mask is not a high watermark, is it?
Me and Johnny were looking at them because I think it was Doctor Who did an article about Sontarans through the ages. And it's amazing, like, how they got more and more crap as time went on. And then you sort of go, 2 Doctors, they look awful. You know, the masks are pretty poor and the costumes just don't... They're not shaped right, you know. They're not stocky. They're just slim, taller.
Well, it's a bit like that syndrome that the cybersmen now are suffering. They look plastic.
Yeah.
And like the neck ring is like moving.
It's not secure. It's all flopping about. And then you get to the Russell ones, and then they're like complete off the charts in a different direction. Completely.
Abs.
Yeah, they got all these bloody abs and fucking they're blue for some reason, and it's like, what you doing? So I'm really pleased that for this iteration they've gone, right, let's go right back to the source material. Link still looks the best. I don't care what anyone says. Even after 40 odd years, he still looks the best.
I think that these costumes are going to be great when they're lit right.
Yeah.
Because there is that really cool photo in Doctor Who magazine. It was like a full page photo of a Sontaran in profile.
He looked really good.
And that looked great.
Yeah.
Not even just because it was in profile and you couldn't really see the face where the face was, you know. I think they look really cool. And I think that it was nice to have a redesign that has been received positively.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what we're like as Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
You know, whenever something gets redesigned, it's never as good as it used to be.
No.
So it's nice that, this one has been really warmly received.
I think this one is probably one of the best redesigns of a classic monster in, you know, New Who.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
I think the new Cybermen... I gotta say, actually, Chris Chibnall's redesigns of classic monsters, actually his treatment of classic monsters has been pretty damn good. You know, the Daleks have been really strong.
He's actually made the Daleks interesting again.
The Cybermen were really good. But again, it sort of... The Cybermen suffered from that Stephen Moffat syndrome of, we'll bring them in, but then we'll overshadow them by bringing the Master in it, and then they just sort of stop around a bit.
Yeah.
But they looked great. Like, I love the new design for the Cybermen. Minus the spikes. I don't like the spikes so much. But the helmets...
If they use the spikes...
Yeah.
They're just not necessary, because it's not like they actually come into any use.
It's a bit
it's like the Imagine stuff. It's like, you know, why does the Paradigm Dalek look like that? Because it's supposed to do this, and it's like, well, if you don't do it, then what's the point?
So I think he's been really good. Have we had any other classic monsters come back? Cybermen, Daleks, Sontarans. Obviously the Uda coming back, and they just look the same, although there's a lot of
slightly worse.
Something about their eyes. People are
the
not happy about their eyes.
Crazy dilated.
Right. Maybe he's a stoned dude.
Maybe he's just really chill.
Yeah.
I did see a side-by-side comparison. I think it's the lighting.
Right.
I think the lighting isn't as favourable to that, because surely it's the same prop. I mean, it would have been touched up and maybe repainted or whatever. And obviously the eyes are new. But it would probably be the same prop. So there's no reason why it should look any worse necessarily. No. But then again, we were just talking about the Sontarans, and they look progressively worse. Any other big kind of takeaways? I suppose Swarm, something people have worked out.
Yeah, it could be an acronym, didn't they?
So it's Sontarans, Weeping Angels, Ravagers, or
Ravages.
Ravages,
I think.
So I tweeted the subtitled BBC America version, where it's Ravages.
Right.
But Jodie sounds like she's saying Ravagers.
Well, I thought she said Ravagers.
And everybody was obviously like, Big Finish tie-in.
Yeah.
And it's like, probably not.
One of the big takeaways from that trailer for me was the new monsters.
Yeah.
These like Cenobite-looking Hellraiser type things with like crystal faces. Do we think they could be the Ravages?
I would
or
probably think Urs. I'd probably, my first instinct was that they were the Ravagers.
Yeah.
I did love the shot when Jodie's facing off with one of them on that kind of cloud thing.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't seen the face later or earlier in the trailer, I would have thought that was an emaciated Master.
Oh, okay.
The makeup job was so cool looking.
Yeah.
Do we think that they're the ones that are having their faces melting? And
I think it is.
Stuff's coming off. It's cool to see a new monster.
And one that looks like genuinely like unpleasant to look at.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw it, like me and my brother both went,
kind
ugh.
of has a presence in the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
they look like a main villain.
Yes.
And they haven't, we know that big dog is called something. It's
Oh, yeah.
Begins with a K. It's not the Garm, ridiculously.
It did look suspiciously like Chewbacca.
It did. It did.
Especially in that shot. When you saw the pictures afterwards.
And
like,
then
it's a
somebody
dog man.
immediately mentioned it on Graham Norton.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Chewbacca in it. I really liked the fact that we saw a new monster and it was just kind of like you'll find out about these ones, you know. It looked great. It looked great. The CG looked great.
And an amazing cast.
Amazing
a lot of good
cast.
Guest stars this year.
Yeah.
God, really good names.
Neil from The Inbetweeners.
That
was nice.
Yeah.
So his second appearance in the Doctor Who universe. Because he was a companion to the 6th Doctor with Big Finish.
Yes.
I think for like a run of like 3 monthly releases or something.
Yeah, was he in that Cyberman one?
Yes, he was. The first one with David Banks back.
Yeah. Kevin McNally. Which we knew about a while ago because we saw
returning
him on set.
from the Twin Dilemma.
Notice he didn't say, "Oh, this is my second brush with Doctor Who." In his little thing, I think he was probably saying, "No one remember that I was in that story,
or what
dressed like that."
Or what I did to Nicola Bryant. Nobody remember that. I'll bring that up.
Sorry, Kevin, it's already out there. She's still got the teeth marks.
All right, allegedly, just for legal purposes. It went down really well.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see lots of positivity.
Yeah,
on the
everyone
timeline.
seemed to really
Everybody
like
saying,
it.
"Yeah, give me some of that."
I saw one person go, "Meh." I was like, shut up.
Yeah. It was great. Everybody liked it.
Yeah,
Shut
everyone
up.
liked it.
Your
Yeah,
opinion
yeah.
is actually wrong.
Even people who don't really
a
like
joke.
the new series were like, "Oh, this actually looks pretty good."
Yeah, which was like a proper kind of seal of approval. Like, even the people that say they don't watch it anymore will watch it.
Yeah, and I think this is what I'm excited about. Obviously, as it is one story, it's not really a series; it's a serial, and that's exciting. And I'm excited to see how all of these monsters are going to come into the different parts of the story.
Do you know what monster we didn't even see? The one other monster that we knew was coming back, apart from the Weeping Angels and the Sontarans. That dude in the big outfit outside of the cathedral in Liverpool, in the black and gold one. And he had a kind of skull mask face.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, nothing to talk about." Yeah, no, I remember now. Yeah.
The big dude lurking outside Liverpool Cathedral.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what's the deal with that? Like, no sniff of them in the trailer either.
And he had a skull face, didn't he? And obviously those other people are skull-like. So
Yeah,
maybe there's a connection. Maybe they're like the henchmen of those
possibly,
people.
or what they look like when they're not wearing ceremonial garbs.
Maybe.
Or when they,
Yeah. Interesting.
Very exciting, and we will drink to Doctor Who Flux. And
cheers.
I guess we'll see you after the break.
Is that break time? How long have we been going?
Well,
an hour?
A fair old whack.
Have we? Oh, well,
I think so. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
There's a bit where Mandip Gill says no or something. And it gave me real vibes of like, oh, she looks like she's reacting to something quite... And we know that the Doctor stood alone in this kind of field, and the way it was framed looked like she was kind of looking down on Jodie. So maybe it was...
I was aware I was not sat on this chair properly.
Maybe it was a bit of a kind of... The Doctor's in peril, proper peril.
Yeah.
We know Jodie's regenerating next year. They made no kind of fuss talking about it on the show. Like, she's done, and there'll be a new Doctor at some point.
I think there'll probably be... Because they usually release an extended Graham Norton, don't they? Because I'm sure in one of the articles that came out around the time that she'd filmed the Graham Norton stuff, she said that she had mentioned, I filmed my regeneration, but I don't know who the next Doctor is. So she must have talked about it, but it was cut for time. So that's interesting, actually, because what does that mean in terms of our new Doctor? Does it, I wonder how long they've got until they have to film that stuff. I imagine she'll regenerate in the TARDIS again, because they always do. Jonathan said, is she going to be laying on the floor? That's the... Oh, yeah. That's proper regeneration. That's like a proper regeneration. An old school regeneration. Yeah. I guess you could do one of a couple of things. You could do a regeneration and, you don't see the new Doctor. That seems a bit mad. Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense. You need to see it. So maybe you have Jodie regenerate. The actual regeneration, the face morph happens off screen. Yeah. And then the new production team will come in and do pickups of the after.
But then, doesn't it make sense to double bank both of those things together? Did Rachel Talalay, did she do Jodie's first scene?
She did, and they weren't together. They shot separately, her and Peter.
Not Peter, not the immediacy of her regeneration, but the stuff at the start of The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah,
did she do that stuff?
Oh, not
okay.
Just what was shown in World Enough and Time.
Right. Okay. Fine.
No, that's not the story, is it? What's that shit Christmas episode called?
Oh,
sorry.
Twice Upon a Time.
Twice Upon a Time. Sorry to people who like that episode.
I'm not.
No.
Yeah.
It's poo-poo. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do that. I mean, I guess they'll just shoot it on another day and they'll put whoever...
Just drop the other person in
the outfit and go,
but then
here you go.
It's like, well, they're not... Are they going to use the BBC's studios
just for that
anymore?
Yeah.
So doesn't it make more sense to shoot on the TARDIS set there before they migrate to maybe the new... Is it the new Pinewood that's being built in Cardiff or the new Shepperton?
Pinewood,
one of the two are franchising in
yeah.
space, aren't they? Could go there. Like, you know...
I guess, this is it. The BBC are going to want to knock that set down because it's space that they need. But Bad Wolf aren't going to be like, come and erect this set for all of 2 seconds that we see it on screen.
It's almost certainly already been dismantled.
Yeah.
Because they finished using it.
Yeah.
And so whatever comes in next will use that space.
So basically, from that, we can either gather that she's either not regenerating in the TARDIS, which would be cool, or they've shot it. They came in.
The
it would only take
the photo
a couple of hours, surely.
That they posted of the wrap with Mandip and Jodie may have been taken on another day. But if you were to take it as face value, they're shooting together on the TARDIS set.
Yeah.
And it's not being destroyed or anything. So maybe if there is regeneration, it's a gentle one where she doesn't blow the bloody thing to bits.
I hope so.
In which case, where does the new TARDIS interior come from? So you've got to assume maybe the regeneration doesn't happen in the TARDIS.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
I mean, do you know what I think they might do? I think they might play up to the fact that the programme's going to be off air for a year. And I think they might obviously end Jodie's episode with the new Doctor appears. And then perhaps when the 60th episode happens, that Doctor is already the Doctor.
And has been the Doctor for a little while.
Yeah. And honestly, I'd be really pleased about that because I do find the whole, I've got regeneration amnesia, that does get a bit tiring after a while.
Well, especially when you're doing it once every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's one of these stories.
Yeah.
The
But people don't get sick of the bloody Spider-Man origin story. We've had that about 9 times in the last decade.
That is true. The novelty of it just seems to have worn off a little bit. I think there's only so many ways you can do it and it be done well.
Wouldn't that be a refreshing change and a really cool statement from the outset?
Yeah.
First, thing we see that Russell's been involved with directly from Doctor Who. And it kind of shakes up the format a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a regeneration story.
Yeah.
You just have here's the Doctor. Like Chris.
Exactly like Chris, yeah.
Walking into Rose.
And then that excuses the whole, why is the TARDIS different? Oh, well, they just didn't like the crystals.
Yeah, and I think the Doctor coming into that space brand new.
Yeah.
And already settled is kind of more of a whirlwind, taking this person away from somewhere and whisking you off on an adventure as a viewer, rather than you both having to come to terms with this is the new Doctor.
Yeah.
If they just come straight into the room and they're like commanding the presence and I'm the Doctor and blah blah blah, I guess it's easier for an audience to kind of just get swept up in it all.
Yeah.
But then if you have to commit 30 to 40 minutes of your hour-long story to that Doctor not being the Doctor.
Yeah.
Until... I mean, with Jodie, arguably, it didn't really happen until the start of Rosa. Because there's that whole search for the TARDIS. So it's kind of like, well, Batman hasn't got their armour on yet.
Yeah,
so they're not really Batman. It's just a bloke walking around looking a bit gaunt and depressed.
Yeah.
She needed to earn her wings.
Yeah.
And I think, it can be a bit arduous watching... the Doctor discover themselves.
Yeah, and I think even with Woman Who Fell to Earth, there was a conscious effort, I think, to not show anything too heavily associated with the previous era.
Right.
Obviously, by the time we see, like you said, you don't see the TARDIS at all in that first episode, and by the time we do see it, it's completely different. All she's got is her predecessor's costume on.
Right. Yeah.
and I think it was different with Chris into David and David into Matt and to even Matt into Peter, because I think there was more... Well, the series were closer together anyway.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? And they know there's going to be a large break.
Yes.
They can plot ahead.
Yeah.
And if we take Russell's day one to mean day one,
yeah,
there may have been some scripts or some ideas knocking around on the table that he's
yeah.
been able to put together, but you would assume he's writing it from as of a fortnight or 3 weeks ago, whenever the news broke. So, that's something to consider. The new Doctor may not have had their first lines written for them yet.
No.
So you would assume, because production is now wrapped up and it's now not the responsibility of BBC Wales, that, we start in media res for the Doctor.
Yeah.
I think that probably makes the most sense, doesn't it?
I don't know if you saw the Radio Times stuff that came out today, but something that was said, which was interesting, but it did make me go, ooh dear, was Chibnall mentioned finding his successor. And he said it took a year to find someone. And it's like, ooh, is Doctor Who really that much of a poisoned chalice in the eyes of...
Do you know what it is? Do you know what I reckon it is? Am I able to come into the show with complete autonomy? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think maybe you have to sacrifice some of whatever your vision is for the show, for the channel, for the corporation. Understandably so. I mean... I don't know this for a fact, obviously, but I wonder if an auteur, because that's what a showrunner is now.
Oh, yeah.
A showrunner is an auteur.
Yeah.
And you get a showrunner in for that show to do their vision.
Yeah.
They might be shooting with the same camera, but it's being shown through their lens.
Yeah.
And I think that a much more attractive proposition is to go somewhere like Netflix, like Disney, wait for a job like that to come in where you can have complete creative freedom.
Yeah.
I say complete creative freedom,
Yeah.
I think that maybe that's a bit of a heavy weight to bear is the corporation behind you.
Yeah.
So maybe the only way that they could have found a successor that was willing to take it on and that definitely would have succeeded. We haven't seen it yet, but the likelihood is that, Russell's going to do a decent job with it.
Yeah.
Pressure. The only way that it could work and go forward was if somebody went, let's do this completely differently.
Yeah.
And I'll bring in my people and we will run it. And you just, you can do the marketing because BBC Studios have obviously excelled at that, since it's moved. The marketing, when it moved from Cardiff to London, was noticeable.
Yeah.
And it's all through the success of, I think, the Sherlock, I can't remember which season, but it was the promotion of a particular season of Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
And I think that people went, maybe these guys should be doing Doctor Who now.
Speaking of, we obviously missed, because we record fortnightly, we missed the build-up of the release of the trailer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the socials going dark.
Yeah. So
and
that
then
was
they
really
lost all their followers.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought that was... Because I know some people were like, oh, dear, shouldn't have done that. I thought it was cool. It got people talking about it. I thought, why not?
I'm sure people who haven't tweeted about Doctor Who for ages tweeted about it the first time going, has anybody seen this?
Yeah. And I loved all the stuff out in Liverpool in the train station and all that stuff where the Doctor was cutting in to the screens. If I was a kid and I saw that, I'd be like, wow, what's going on? That's so, that captures people's imaginations. So I loved all that. I thought that was really, really great. I think all that stuff worked. It was a shame it wasn't elsewhere. It just seemed to be limited to Liverpool. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else saw it.
I would assume that it's gonna, because it seems, I mean, a great marketing campaign because it works in that kind of, did you catch that?
Yeah.
Did somebody manage to record it? And obviously that, in the era of social media, it was perfect for that kind of little bits popping up here and there.
Yeah.
And it was really good for that. Also, the use of the new BBC logo.
Oh yeah,
popped up there.
I didn't even notice.
And the only other place I think it's been now is I think it's now popping up on some idents for BBC Two.
Oh yes,
I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool campaign. It worked.
Yeah.
Sure, it might have been a bit weird, to people that were on Twitter from the second it went dark to the second it came back.
Yeah.
And complained about it. It's like, well then, Doctor Who social media's gone missing.
Yeah.
Matt, I bet this is something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Cool, excellent. Leave it.
Yeah.
Wait for your phone to buzz next for them to say it's back.
Yeah.
You know, don't sit at your phone and then get angry at them. You're wasting my time. God.
Oh, we're a funny old lot, aren't we, Doctor Who fans? Yeah. Don't think there's anything else to say on that other than
go flux yourself.
Flux yourself.
A huge thank you to our fantastic patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the Review of Death, then please go and head over to reviewofdeath.co.uk and you can find the link to our Patreon there. And you can donate either £3 or £5 a month, and for that you'll get lots of really cool rewards, so go and check it out. And one of the rewards is that we read out the names of some of our patrons. So thank you to James Deakin, Daniel Cox, Morgan Robertson, Andrew Lewis, Tom Walker, James Ivory, James Aluya Waterhouse, Joshua Snares, Peter Adamson, Harry Palmer, Jack Duffy, James Garrett, great name, Miles Lanham, Harry Houlihan, Jay Gent, Jake Booth, Harvey Smith, Jack Sanderson, Thomas McDonald, Chad Welsh, Jack G, Bobby Cook, Jean-Luc Harry, Future Contact, Yanto Danielson, Christian Craig, Taylor Wooderson, Jack Addison, Gregor Shepherd. Tone it down on the patrons, please, everybody. There's too many people to read out. Donovan the Dusky, I can't read this one. Paul Slem, formerly Starter Pack. Thank you for picking a really difficult name to read out on the podcast.
That must have been deliberate trolling.
Cheers, Starter Pack. Don't start changing your names now, patrons, so it makes it difficult to read out. Conrad Harbert, Matthew Bevan, Thomas Gentile, Will Price, Chris Clark, Jeff McCory, Thomas Langford, Sonny Mullings, Hugh Burke, Callum Devine, William Carlisle, John Lindsay, James Woods, Maxon Russell, Jude Lavis, Ronan Heathcote, Exile to the Timelash, Joe Kay, Josh Lambert, Liam Duke, Ryan
God,
Kemp,
you're still going.
Jack D. Evans, Andrew Mark Thompson, Luke Smith, Joe Bardsley, David Cunningham, Joe Dre McCarran, Ronan Thorne, Jack Robinson, Daniel Davis, and Macra99. Cheers! Thanks very much!
We're talking about 11th Doctor stories. The first time you talked about the 11th Doctor.
Isn't it exciting?
Oh my God, where were you? I in that.
Wasn't this don't ask. Wasn't this a great toy when it came out?
It was a good toy.
It still is a great toy.
It's a good toy.
Apart from the fact they put that button up there in a really difficult to get
Yeah, where you've got to do it from the bottom.
From there?
Yeah.
That's lame.
Yeah.
I have got the touch control one.
Oh, I don't have that one. Is that better, is it?
Yeah, because you can kind of press it when it's extended, I think.
Oh, fair.
It's cool. Anyway, so we are going to do our first ever 11th Doctor stories. Now, initially, we were going to do just the one. But 2 45-minute ones, kind of...
Yeah, it didn't feel like we were going to have much to talk about.
Exactly. So we have done the top-ranked Matt Smith story that isn't his first story, The 11th Hour, and of course the 50th anniversary, which came top of the 2014 TWM poll. We are doing the next one available to us, which is Vincent and the Doctor from Series 5, and we are contrasting that with The Rings of Akhaten from Series 7B, or just Series 7 now, as iPlayer likes to pretend.
I just call it Series 7.
Yeah, I just so ingrained in my head Series A and B.
Oh no, we can't be confusing the DVDs.
So annoying when they split the seasons. Wasn't that just...
Why was that?
Was it a budgetary thing? They could only afford to make half the episodes 1 year and something like that?
I have a funny feeling it might have been something like that.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm sure there was like some...
reason.
Yeah, they said something, didn't they? They turned around and said, oh no, it's because of the... Was it something to do with the Olympics?
No. Well,
was it like,
they might have dressed it up.
Or was that
like
another
that,
year, or was that a later year when they were like, oh, there's just too much happening on television.
Oh, yeah.
If we put Doctor Who on, that was people will go mad.
We're going to miss a year.
Yeah.
I can't remember what. Anyway.
But yeah, that's the story for another time.
And I'm sure we'll find out one day. So we're going to do those two stories. Now, should we open with Vincent and the Doctor?
Yes, why not?
Doctor, as Matt Smith might say, because he's got a funny old voice. He's a lot posher than I remember. Yeah,
especially coming off the back of... Well, do you think so?
Well, there's just a lot of... He's just very, kind of sounds a bit public schoolboy, And he's got that kind of...
He does say stuff like mate.
Yeah, but when he does it, it's kind of like, it doesn't sound right coming out of your mouth.
It's like when you get... I know people like this sort of stuff, but sometimes it does make me go, oof, don't do it. When they get older doctors to say stuff like the speech from the Rings of Akhaten.
Yeah.
And hearing Colin Baker say, take it all,
Take it all,
baby.
baby.
It's like, oh, no.
No, feels a bit. Well, maybe he said that, but to Nicola Bryant's character in that one.
Yeah.
In
The Stranger or whatever the hell.
Oh,
Air Zone Solution.
Air Zone Solution.
Take it all, baby.
Another horny Doctor Who fan film.
Oh. If you donate, we'll watch that. Just that scene in isolation.
I did joke, if we get to 69, we'll watch Doctor Screw.
Fucking hell.
We won't actually. So, yeah. I was really excited to do these stories.
Me too.
Because I haven't revisited the Matt Smith era in the longest time.
Ever.
Possibly ever. I haven't rewatched those stories for a really, really long time, but I've got such vivid memories of watching them. Almost as vivid as watching Russell's run.
Really?
But I don't associate it with the same sort of...
Yeah. See, my brain... I think I got proper sort of teenage... about Doctor Who at that point, which is sad.
Series 5?
I liked Series 5.
Yeah.
Then Series 6 I didn't like
No, I
at
didn't
all.
like either.
And then, yeah, I think after that I was just like, I'm done with all this. But I'm glad to say that this is a very good story.
Yeah.
And yes, I do like Vincent and the Doctor. I think at the time when it aired, I mean, there was obviously a massive amount of praise for this story when it aired. And I remember thinking, it was all right. But actually watching it back, it's a really good story.
It's
for what it is. It's a very particular type of story, I should say.
Yeah, it's a particular kind of story. I don't know if I like it as a Doctor Who story.
Oh.
Just because, and I think this is a problem that we've encountered with a lot of the episodes that we've reviewed. The ones that haven't quite hit the mark, and I'm not saying this doesn't hit the mark, because it's obviously very good. But there's no real threat, because obviously the monster is Metaphor City.
Yes.
And it's also trying to be a physical threat.
Yes.
And it doesn't quite work on the physical threat level.
No.
It's just kind of Monster of the Week. Who remembers the chicken running around?
Yeah, that's
Nobody really remembers it. I think that's a symptom the Moffat era suffers from a lot. We mentioned the Tesseract the other day.
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember the name of it.
No, not me.
But you can't believe I remember the name of Ranskorev Kolos, and that was only a couple of years ago.
He's a proper fan. This is why I've only got classic series stuff on the...
I'm only a proper fan. Who's the one that's getting a full-size bloody Cyberman outfit?
Yeah, but it's from the 80s. Come on.
True. When Doctor Who was Doctor Who. Yeah. So... Because I was watching it as a Doctor Who episode. Obviously, it's got a lot of weight to it. It's the first time, really, that, mental health and stuff has entered a Doctor Who episode, and it's been so explicit with it.
Yeah.
And that bit's obviously great, but as a Doctor Who story, there's not an awful lot for me to get my teeth into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I think it's nice to see Doctor Who go, let's try and do something different. Because I think whenever you say, let's Doctor Who tackle mental health, I don't think it's quite... I mean, obviously it's obvious, but it's not... I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's like quite so on the nose necessarily. I think it's done pretty well within the confines of the story. Obviously, the trouble with that bloody creature is that whenever you see it, it doesn't look very good because it's sort of naff CGI. And... It's a fucking chicken. It's a giant chicken.
How many CG shots have we got the budget for?
Yeah.
So we'll use them so we can have it glimpsed here, so that'll cost less money, and then a quick shot of the tail hitting Matt and it hits the wall.
Yeah, that stuff when it interacts with him. Never really looks good.
Quite. Yeah.
But they tried.
Yeah.
They tried.
Oh, what we should do first is let's do our cheap pop culture rewind.
Oh yeah,
Matt.
because now I won't know anything about this because you realise that I should have been born in the 60s.
Fine. Well, number one on the week of this episode's broadcast, it's 2010. Of course, it's Dizzy Rascal. With Dirty Disco, and
don't know that
2 weeks later he would top the charts again in a song featuring James Corden, who of course would be in the next story. It was for England's 2010 would have been South African World Cup.
He gets around everywhere, doesn't he?
Yeah, that bloke. Don't say what you wanted to say, even though it's true. Box office number one for 2010.
2010. Ooh, let's see. Some superhero film.
Yeah, Sex and the City 2.
Oh.
Toy Story 3 was the highest grossing of the year in the UK at least. And video games. Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Oh, brilliant.
Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Red Dead Redemption.
Oh.
God of War 3.
Right.
Halo Reach.
Wow.
Super Meat Boy. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is about when I stopped playing Assassin's Creed games. That awful Medal of Honor reboot that nobody liked.
Okay.
And Call of Duty Black Ops.
Bloody hell.
Whoa.
Good game.
What
good
a year for games.
Wow.
And I tell you what, it is almost just as good for 2013 when we get around to doing the next one.
Oh, I'm more excited about that than
talking about the episode. I would like to open a discussion about Amy Pond.
Okay.
I really don't like her. No. I think that she is quite a bit, maybe too adult compared to Rose, in that she's flirting outrageously with everybody around her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing and she's too adult or too, raunchy or whatever. But like the whole cheese, drinking wine, hanging out, it's very Richard Curtis.
Yeah.
This story. And I just think that she's not written as a Doctor Who companion. In the sense that she doesn't add anything to the story.
Yeah.
Besides being eye candy. So yeah, she is a Doctor Who companion through and through in this story. I don't like having a companion that is so, I don't know. There's just something about Amy I don't get. I think she's got a front up.
Yeah.
All the time. And I think contrasted with Matt Smith's Doctor, who shows that Peter Davison vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think that they don't contrast well together. I think that Amy comes off looking worse as a character in pretty much every social situation because she doesn't allow herself to show any kind of vulnerability, which other companions might have done a bit more freely. But she's always got this front up.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I don't want to watch that.
There's a bit of a smugness, and the moment, and it always bothers me. She doesn't bother me in the rest of the story, but she always bothers me in that bit at the start at the cafe or the bar or whatever it is,
where everyone's a Bristolian.
What is that about? That was in my notes.
You notice that as well?
It's like, but this seems to be a big thing from this era. Is like, oh, common as muck people, they're from Bristol.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Because we're farmers, and we just drink Thatchers and sit on hay bales and.
I mean, that is okay. We do.
Yeah, but you don't need to point it out.
Yeah,
let us do that.
It's that bit in the bar, and they're arguing, and she's like, "Oh, will you just shut up?" And I was like, "Ooh,
I know."
God, it grinds my gears. I was like, "Well, it's that." I want to call it David Tennanty 10th Doctor acting.
Sure.
No one goes, shut up, like
No.
that. Who talks like that? No one talks like that. The 10th Doctor does.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
But I think a lot of this era is like, humans don't say that.
Yes.
And they don't act like that towards each other.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe some people do. But
assholes.
but I don't want to watch that.
No.
And Amy is... Karen Gillan, great actor.
Yeah.
I think she's very good. I just don't like Amy Pond, and I get bad vibes watching her on screen.
Yeah,
because then there's the whole she sexually assaults the Doctor thing.
Yeah.
Then and not the 11th Doctor isn't horny as fuck through his entire run, pretty much, especially when Clara turns up.
Yeah. You can blame her.
But stop. But she slaps Rory.
Oh, she's horrible.
She's horrible. She's just a really nasty piece of work, and I don't like Amy Pond.
See, it's funny you should say that because I always held that opinion, but actually when I rewatched all of the series back to back, all right, she's shitty to Rory, and probably the divorce was probably the best thing that ever happened to either of them. Yeah, to him. Yeah. Because he could have settled down with someone nice.
Yeah.
But
who didn't hit him?
Yeah, or drawl out her words when she was trying to accentuate something. She does it in Big Bang as well. She's like, my wedding. Yeah. It's like, who are you? Are you trying to be David Tennant? Shut up. But actually, I quite liked their relationship, her and the Doctor, when I watched it back. I thought they got on quite well. I quite liked I don't know, their chumminess.
They have a bit of a honeymoon thing about them, especially going to maybe it's just the City of Death, walking around a museum thing.
Yeah.
But like when they're having a chat, and there's a bit where the 11th Doctor sort of grabs her head and they rest foreheads on each other. I'm like, you're more than mates, but the 11th Doctor does have this weird duality in his character that, you know, women might approach him, or, you know, somebody might proposition him or be flirty to him,
right?
And he's kind of like, oh, I don't know how to react to this, and he's really socially awkward, like a small child.
Yeah.
And he's got great, like when he picks up the glass of wine in the lodger, one of my favourite 11th Doctor moments. He immediately spits it back out.
Yeah.
I love that. But then he's like really hands-on with Amy, and I don't get best pal vibes from them.
No,
maybe it's just Amy, because I love Matt Smith and I do like the 11th Doctor.
Yeah.
But Amy's all over it, and I just
interesting.
Don't like it.
Okay.
But apart from that, it's a great story.
It's a great story. Tony Curran as Vincent, superb. Why he was not like picked to be a massive star after that, I don't know.
I know.
I mean, I know he does stuff like some of the DC CW series,
right?
Which I only found out researching this. But I feel like he should have gone on to do bigger and better things, because he was just so good.
Yeah,
so good.
He had a great line about talking to Amy. You're from Holland as well, then?
Yeah,
because they're both Scottish.
Yeah.
I thought that's a nice way of acknowledging.
Really good.
That he's clearly Scottish.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was a really clever sort of subversion of.
There's a lot of very clever lines in this, like the whole thing about the sunflowers, when she brings him the sunflowers and he's like, not really keen on the sunflowers, like, what, you know, it's just little things like that,
and him giving away the paintings and stuff, and he's no, or the bit where he
paints over it, and he's like,
works.
no, and it's good.
You do get the impression you're around a fragile moment in time.
Yes,
and that's a great I mean, you know, About Time, Richard Curtis did that movie as well. He knows how to do like a time travel thing with emotion attached to it, and I guess there's no more sort of emotional a thing to experience that you encounter somebody who you ultimately know isn't going to last long, or suffers a terrible fate or whatever, and you can't interfere. I almost wonder if this should have been earlier in the series, for that kind of learning curve thing that most Doctor Who companions go through when they realise that they can't change time. And that might have informed, like when Rory repeatedly dies, it might have been like, oh, there's some weight to this. You can't actually alter time. So when he's dead, Rory's dead. Obviously, that doesn't turn out to be the case.
No.
But it's weird that there is this fragility around time in the story, and then in most other Moffat stories, it's, wow, we've just pressed the big red button and everything's gone back to normal, or now there's balloons in the sky and there's trains going into pyramids in the centre of London. You know, it's just like, it's time is either really fragile and needs to be looked after, or it's just this big crazy dark thing I can just draw on with crayons. And blah, blah, blah. And I just, it doesn't quite balance that.
And I actually forgot the whole Rory dying thing, which is amazing. How do you forget that? He dies all the time. But I forgot that. So when I think it was Vincent makes a point like, you've lost someone, I think, and
I thought that was a reference to him.
Oh, just you?
Like,
to Rory?
You're looking at me knowing, like she knows he's going to die.
Oh, I see.
And she's got the weight of his passing, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that. But then I guess if you watch it in sync
with the
it's going to make much more sense.
Because she, at the start of the story, she says something to the Doctor. She's like, "You're being really nice to me. Why are you being nice to me?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not being nice to you." And he's all very evasive about it. And I liked that. And I sort of forgot. Oh yeah, I forgot that there's like, you know, a bit of an arc here. And I liked the way that they tied that in to him. That, you know, he is this, you know, as someone who is going through all this stuff himself, he can see that element of himself in her. And just all that stuff with the way he sees the stars at the end of the story. That's lovely. That looks really
such a
good.
Lovely standout scene.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
I made a special note of that.
So did I,
was properly lovely.
Yeah.
I think that's really all I've got on this story. Like, it's obviously very well regarded.
Yeah.
I don't think this to me is like a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10.
No.
And I think a lot of people do hold it in that high a regard. I think that maybe the way that we communicate mental health in television now and depression is a lot more grown up. But I feel like having Vincent van Gogh bawling his eyes out on his bed and being like, that's depression. Sure, depression's different for everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's not subtle. It's just sort of like crying man.
Yeah.
He's going to cry so hard he'll die in a bit, in a couple of days' time.
Do you think he should have just like gone up to Amy and gone, chopped his ear off?
Wouldn't it have been amazing? The last scene, he's like, oh, just before you go, present. And this still dripping ear lands in her palm.
The bloody thing should have sliced his ear off.
Yeah.
Because it was like killing people.
That isn't referenced, is it? It is a psychopathic thing to do.
Cut your ear off.
Cut your ear off and give it in a box to somebody to prove how much you love them.
Just as a FYI, we're not saying that Vincent van Gogh actually gave his ear to somebody as a present.
It did happen, didn't it?
Did it?
I think that's what he did.
He gave his ear as a present to somebody.
I think he was so madly in love with somebody, he wanted to show his devotion, that he cut his ear off and gave it to them in a box, I think. I think that's the story.
Really? I thought this was just some mad, fevered thing.
No,
really? We need to find this out. We need to look this up.
That should not be encouraged.
No,
not
at all.
Like, that's not a sympathetic or of like, oh, bless him thing to do. That's wrong.
What did Vincent van Gogh... Oh my God, it's the top thing. Obviously, because our phones are listening to us. But he threatened his friend with a knife before turning it on himself and mutilating his earlobe. He originally wrapped up the ear and gave it to a prostitute at a nearby brothel.
He gave it to a prostitute. Okay, so the primary school version of it, he gave it to a woman he really loved, whereas the real life version is he was on a coke bender, cut his ear off, and gave it to some. I love it. So yeah, it's okay. This is the main talking point for me with this, and because I watched the episode and it was like, I'm enjoying it. It's cool. I don't feel like I've got an awful lot to say about it because it was just, it was
just
a
good,
really easy 45 minutes.
And it looks nice. They shot it in Croatia, didn't they?
They did. I forgot. I was trying to work out where it was.
Yeah. Which is quite weird because it's like these two stories they look very similar.
Yeah.
Vampires of Venice and this one.
Yeah,
that's
they do.
Just because they're both shot in the same place.
Right next to each other. I wanted to say something about the way that we always want Doctor Who to come across to other people is Doctor Who's back. It's on a big, exciting thing. There's a new Doctor.
Yeah.
And we want it to be just like it was when Russell took over the first time. That explosion of Doctor Who in the public consciousness, and it's back. And everybody says, why can't they just relaunch it like they did in 2005? That was really like the relaunch with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because watching this, it's so confident.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't think subsequent seasons are.
No.
I think Doctor Who loses its nerve
after
Series 5.
Yeah.
Because we can confidently produce 13 episodes of television a year plus a Christmas special.
Yeah.
We know we can deliver that. So we just need to fill those blocks up.
Yeah.
Rather than we think we can do 6. Well, can we do 6 or can we do 7? Well, we'll have to split it. And then, it hasn't quite worked since, I think. And I think that the relaunch in 2005, like I can remember, I've almost got as strong a memory of seeing the Matt Smith logo out in public as I do the taxi sign logo. Doctor Who Live, the monsters are coming. Yeah. The experience when that first opened. Yeah. All of these things that appeared suddenly, it's like they got it right again. Yeah. But nobody ever acknowledges that.
Yeah, I mean, like the relaunch of the logo, that was a big thing. I can remember the press announcement for that, clear as day. Stephen Moffat being like, "Oh yeah, kids will be scribbling DW in the margins of their."
And I absolutely was. I absolutely was all the time.
So, and okay. That was a thing. They had the figures come out in the new packaging when the episode aired. That time crash set, and then subsequently that
in
first
Toys R Us. I remember getting that. Oh, it was so exciting.
And the Sonic Screwdriver that came out at the same time as well. Yeah, it was a really big thing, And I remember all the trailers as well, like that special 3D trailer that they showed. I think it was in cinemas.
I went to see it. The only reason I went to see that awful Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland in 3D was to go and see that trailer.
See that trailer, yeah.
In 3D.
Yeah. And, it was a big deal.
It was.
Like just seeing the behind the scenes pictures of them filming the Weeping Angels story.
Yeah.
And seeing Matt in his costume for the first time.
And the new TARDIS.
And I
got St. John's Ambulance logo on it. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember vividly, one side of fandom being like, oh, what have they done to the TARDIS? I'm like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, you fucking newbie bastards. Come on.
But now I look at it and I go, it's a bit ugly.
It's a weird colour. Reflective, metallic almost. It's weird.
I think the Capaldi one got more metallic because it almost had that purpley metallic sheen.
Yeah. Well, you can see just from watching Vincent and Rings of Akhaten, the colour difference is startling.
I think the starkest difference is the windows because they're completely white, aren't they, on the later prop?
Yeah.
I prefer the black and white.
Yeah, it breaks it up a bit.
It's nice.
Yeah, some sort of special two-way glass stuff.
Yeah.
So that when it's illuminated properly,
it's properly white.
but then out in daylight it can look black.
Looks lovely. I love thinking about that period in Doctor Who's history, and I was just thinking last night when I was watching it, I thought they nailed it again.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think they've had a subsequently as successful relaunch across everything since Matt Smith, and I just felt like everybody pretends that Russell was the only time that's happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true. I think that they deserve a lot more kudos.
I agree.
For relaunching this.
Because like when Capaldi came in, that was a bit more of a damp squib. It was like, well, we've sort of tweaked the logo, but you probably wouldn't notice it if you know, unless you stared at it for a while. And, you know, we're trying to make it seem a bit more grown up. Oh dear, that's the wrong thing to do. We'll backpedal that. Oh dear, we've gone too far the other way.
Yeah. It doesn't find a rhythm.
No.
Whereas this is really confident. Isn't it?
Which is amazing because obviously it was big shoes to fill off the back of the mammoth success of Russell and of course David Tennant. So I mean Stephen and Matt Smith must have just been fucking bricking it, really.
Yeah.
And you know, fair play to them because I really like Series 5. I think Series 5 is certainly probably the strongest out of Stephen Moffat's tenure.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know, I enjoyed the arc. The stories are, with the exception of a few clunky ones like Beast Below or
Vampires of Venice.
I don't mind Vampires of Venice. The Lodger, you know, that's not my cup of tea at all. On the whole, I think it was really good. You know, I prefer The Time of Angels to Blink, personally, because it feels more like a Doctor Who.
Right, yeah.
You know,
I see that.
Yeah, so I really like that season, you know, and I like Matt, and I like his costume, and I like the TARDIS. The interior is sort of much of a muchness for me. It's a bit weird architecturally.
Yeah, but I didn't mind it so much watching this. Yeah. Because it's not really in it too much.
No.
And the Doctor goes in and does stuff to it, and it gives him a result. Yeah. And there's a bit of faffing and a bit of comedy. Yeah. But,
William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton cameos. The third one, actually, for William Hartnell in
this
series.
This is exactly what I was going to say. This is the point the seal breaks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, let's see the Doctor every week from back in the day. Yeah. 11th Hour. Yeah. The library card in the previous story. Yeah. And then this. Yeah. And, you know, by next year, you know, we're still going to get loads of more references. And, yeah, it's like compared to what had happened in the previous 4 seasons, practically nothing up until the Journal of Impossible Things. And even that was vague enough.
Very fleeting.
And then, obviously, in the next Doctor.
Yeah. And that wasn't even Russell's idea. I think that was Julie Gardner's idea. She said, why don't we see all the Doctors? And I think Russell was like, okay, it's been long enough. People are aware that there were more Doctors. You know, we've had all these old monsters come back, so why not? And it was nice. And, you know, and I think showing the library card in Thingy was good fun. And, you know, this is fine. But yeah, I think there's a weird thing. Like, you do have that moment when it happens on screen, you sort of go, ooh! And then you sort of reflect on it and you think, do we really need to see that? It's kind of weird, you know, it's like that nice bit of fan service, and then you're like, oh, is it just, are we being given too many sweets?
Do you know what I think it is?
A bit sickly.
I think it's when you see the Doctors.
Yeah.
And you're presented with them, because most of the time when you see the Doctors, you're looking at it, and as a Doctor Who fan, you go, "Oh, that's a publicity image from the Web Planet or whatever."
True.
And so immediately you're taken out of it because you're like, "Oh, I know that photograph."
Yeah. Well, in this case, it was like, "Well, that's from the Celestial Toymaker, and that's from the Web of Fear."
Exactly. Thank you. Whereas if you just had a question mark umbrella, hanging up, then you'd be like, oh, look. Yeah. And that's all you need.
Unless you were Jonathan Toffolo, who'd go, that's not Sylvester McCoy's umbrella. That's a bloody Lavazzi, whatever his Roboto replica.
Smash up.
And then he'd smash it.
The gaff up.
He'd go, why didn't he come to me when I've got a much better one?
I do have to admit, I did drop that down the stairs earlier.
It's fine, it's broken already.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. I didn't break anything, but I just thought
I knew something was up because it wasn't in the right place. Oh. I thought, what's going on here? I thought, who's been tampering with my brolly?
He knows.
The only thing I have left to say on this story, something that stood out for me is I like the bit when the TARDIS is covered in all the posters. That's nice. And when they're on fire.
That's a really cool little bit. Yeah.
And I remember when that was being shot, and people were like, "Oh, look, the TARDIS is on fire." And I was like, "Ooh, what's going on there?" Because it was shot outside of
Millennium Centre.
Yeah, of course,
in the snow.
Real snow. It's
real actual snow because it's not pretty snow. It's like it's horrible sludge that people, like members of the public, have just been walking through the whole time.
Yeah, but from that scene, obviously there's a big moment when Vincent sees all his paintings, and it's a very powerful moment, and he does it incredibly well. Bill Nighy as the uncredited guest appearance.
He doesn't get a credit in. I can't believe that.
And he's so good. Yeah, Bill Nighy. Of course, he's good.
I mean, you don't need a credit for Bill Nighy.
No,
everyone's gonna look at, it's Bill Nighy. I don't need to double check that was him in the credits.
And he does a really good job, and obviously Tony Curran does an amazing job in that sequence. And I think Amy Pond, Karen Gillan, does a great job when she has that realization of, we actually didn't make a difference apart from the scribble on the painting, which is nice. But this is actually, or perhaps someone will correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first instance of a song not written for Doctor Who being used as non-diegetic sound? So obviously
written for Doctor Who.
So obviously we had like Song for Tem, but obviously that was written for Doctor Who, and Put the Devil in Me and whatever bits and pieces. But is this the first time a piece of popular music has been used as non-diegetic sound?
Unless there's some bit of library music that you could contest wasn't written for the show.
I mean, yeah,
but it's library music. It's its own category, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose it's the first.
Because I almost went, Toxic by Britney Spears, but that is diegetic sound because it's being played on the jukebox. And even Tainted Love, that's also being played on the jukebox.
I Can't Decide. Oh no, that's being played. But then...
Yeah, that's being played over the speaker system.
Yeah.
And even Here Comes the Drums.
Yeah.
It almost feels like there was a conscious thing of like, you can't use popular music unless it's being played on a set of speakers.
No, you're right. But then, because in my head, when I hear, Here Come the Drums, in that scene, I don't think of anything where that song is being press play. Yeah. I just see that tear opening and the Toclophane coming out. So in my head, it is diegetic. That's like their theme that was written for them. It must be.
Yeah,
because Rosa is the only other example I can think of that's happened since then.
And
Stormzy. Oh no, that's diegetic.
That's diegetic. Yeah. Do you like that? Do you think it works?
I have to say, I don't think it worked for me.
No, I didn't like it either.
I think it works in Rosa.
Yeah.
And I think it works because they don't cop out and then fade the music down and play the Doctor Who theme at the end. Yeah. I think obviously there's a Next Time trailer, and the Next Time trailers didn't have the theme music playing underneath the Series 5. It was a different sort of structure for them. But I just think that it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
And it works in Rosa because it goes into the end credits. Yeah. And that's like, it feels more rounded.
Yeah.
Whereas we're just having this because it's like, emotional song, emotional moment.
Yeah, it feels very jarring. And then Murray Gold will
come in a bit.
Yeah, I think it works when it's just the guitars, but when it's... Because it's a Coldplay song, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a different band, I think. I'll find out who it is.
I'm showing my... Well, not my age, but...
Well, you're now older. Well, hang on. I'm the same age as Matt Smith.
Are you Matt Smith's age?
I think so.
Oh my God. Think so. God, you could be Doctor Who, Billy.
Oh, I'll take it. Let's find out what the song was.
This is my concern, is that...
Chances by Athlete.
Never heard of them. As if my opinion on I've never heard of them means anything. I've never heard of anybody.
This is a household that you told me the other day. Your mum went, is there a new Best of Bond James Bond CD? Because this one only goes up to The World Is Not Enough. Yeah. This is the music culture in this house.
Look, my mum literally said the other day, she said, if it came after the 90s, I don't know it. And I was like, yeah, well, by osmosis, if it came after the 90s.
Yeah, because it just wouldn't have been played in the house.
It just wouldn't be played in the house. You know, my brother doesn't like that sort of music. My dad didn't like that sort of music. Oh, occasionally we'd hear stuff on the radio, like going to school and stuff. So basically, if it wasn't played on the radio on the bus journey to school between the
If it wasn't in choir, and if it wasn't in Amdram, it wasn't on. Where would we put Vincent and the Doctor so far in our rankings?
Well, it's not as good as Evil of the Daleks by any stretch of the imagination. And if anyone tries to, even attempts to argue that it's better than Evil of the Daleks, get out. Find yourself another podcast, because this one ain't for you. Evil of the Daleks is better.
And this just below it?
This is just below it, yeah.
I'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, The Rings of Akhaten.
Yeah.
This is the one I was most looking forward to.
Me too.
Because I remember I probably started to develop more sort of critical faculties sort of at that point where I was kind of like, where I could like criticize something and not in a kind of bad way. Like I could actually say, that didn't work for me, this didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I remember really liking The Rings of Akhaten when it first came out. And I remember looking online and going, oh, people didn't seem to like that one. I must be in the minority. Yeah, it wasn't very good actually. What a shame. Now,
how old would you have been when this aired? 2013.
2013, I would have been 17.
16,
okay. 17.
I don't know how old I would have been. Oh, I was in my last year at uni. Yeah.
37.
37. I was like, what?
I was really looking forward to it, and I have this. I found it a slightly more enjoyable watch from a Doctor Who perspective. It felt more like a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah,
because there's lots of aliens. And
I got some notes on that.
There's lots of masks and costumes and all that kind of stuff. I think it also felt like Doctor Who because I feel like this was the cheap one, wasn't it, that year?
It was. Yeah. I think I went into this looking forward to watching this one because I was like, I can never really remember what this one's all about. And then when it ended, I was like, I remember why I can never remember what this one is all about because the plot is wafer thin.
Yeah.
It's like...
it's a waffle thin.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, there's some like old git in a temple and they've got to sing to it, but it might wake up. Oh wait, no, that's not the god's the sun, and this old bastard is just in it.
I had real Twin Dilemma vibes watching this.
Yeah.
Because of that thing we mentioned where Mestor wasn't actually supposed to be the final boss.
Yeah,
there was supposed to be another one above him.
Yeah.
And it turned the same thing. It's just like, so is this grandfather?
Yeah.
But then I know that big planet turns around and grins at everyone at the end. So is that grandfather?
No, so grandfather is the old man.
Is the mummy.
Yeah. And then the god... I just don't get it. I don't understand the whole ethos of the planet, the whole makeup of what they're actually doing, the whole ceremony. It's all a bit like...
Is the ceremony like a sacrificial thing? Because it it feeds off of memories, right?
Yeah.
It's like an energy vampire.
Yeah. But... Nothing really seems to be explained. It's a bit wishy-washy. I think that's the problem. Nothing is...
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh, we want to do this, but we can't quite commit to what we're saying, so just go along with it for the sake of the story.
It kind of feels like... Yeah. In the same way that the Power of Three kind of doesn't come together.
What is that even about? Some frigging cubes, and then...
You can't blame them, though, because it was... What's his face?
Yeah, old...
That ruined it. From Stephen Burkoff.
Yeah,
I wonder if this is a similar thing. Not that, somebody
Stephen
was
Burkoff
being an arse. Stephen Burkoff wandered back in and went, and another thing, and ruined everything. I wonder... it's a close set, Stephen Burkoff. I wonder if... there was just some butchery in this... Because this is something else I was going to say. Now, I gave a lot of guff to the Jodie era in previous reviews we've done for the abominable ADR.
Right.
It's just as bad in this era of the programme, and it's not fair for me to levy that complaint against the Chibnall era. Because, you just get a lot of things where Jodie just says a kind of, and another thing to add more context. And it's like, didn't really need that, but I guess you watched it in the edit and somebody went, that needs to be clearer.
Yeah. I wish someone had said, can we just have Matt Smith sit down and be like, right, so this is what's actually going on in the story. Yeah. Because I was a bit like, what?
The story so far, listeners.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's...
And to go back to what you said about, it felt like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I said this to Johnny because he came in while I was watching it, and he's like, what's this story about? Because he can't remember this stuff. And I said, I don't know. I said, the thing with this one, and I think this is why it was so poorly received, and this is a weird thing that I'm going to say. It is the new Doctor Who story that feels most like an old Doctor Who story.
Yeah.
Because it's all studio bound.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people in silly alien costumes. I mean, they look great, actually. The aliens look amazing.
Yeah.
But then you've got lots of people in robes being like high priests pontificating and being like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh,
our
you
ancient
know,
race, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm getting some like major thanks be to Ty.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Meglos vibes here.
Yeah.
And I just think, and it's like,
where does that bloke go? Can I ask?
Yeah, did he kill himself?
He finishes praying and then he goes, I must go now. My planet needs me, and fucking Poochie's out of there.
I was like, did he teleport away, or did he like just fucking kill himself? Is it some sort of
weird.
like?
He must have teleported.
Yeah,
like that was ever going to come up again, and it's just like, well, why not just kill him off?
Yeah,
give the villain something to do.
And
He's just banging on a glass thing, and also, do you remember when the trailer came out and everyone went, "That's Sutek."
Yeah.
And that was the only time that monster was actually interesting, was when they thought it was a different monster altogether.
Yeah, and it's like little henchmen, the Vigil, I think they're called. They look great.
Look cool, and the whispering thing.
Yeah, but I forgot that, and I was like, this is good. Shame they do F-all.
Nothing. They do have psychic attacks that apparently the sonic screwdriver can now repel.
It's
a magic wand, Matthew.
This story is the bloody poster child for that era of the Sonic will sort it out. And I know we've sort of got a little bit of that with Jodie's era, not quite so much, but this story in particular is just like, I use the Sonic. One bit that really bugged me with the Sonic stopping psychic attacks.
The Harry Potter bit.
Yeah. What really annoyed me was when they go up to the door of the pyramid and the Doctor's like, oh no, there's so many combinations, the Sonic can't, whatever. And then,
is this the one that eventually opens?
And then it eventually opens, and he's like, oh, it's connected to the acoustic tumblers in the door. And I'm like, whoa, right, let's just stop this. This is a story all about singing. This is a culture that is built up around song, and you're now talking about acoustic tumblers. Why didn't you go, oh, the Doctor, you've got to sing a series of notes. A certain register.
You could have had a funny bit where the Doctor can't quite do it and Clara stamps on his foot.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and then the door opens.
Clara's like, oh, I was in the choir.
Yeah.
You know, you could have done something with that. And it was the same with these fucking Vigil people.
Rather than just going...
Yeah. Oh, and then you've got all that really bad, like, oh, it's too heavy. It's like, what? It's just, why? Why is it so bad? It really annoyed me. I was like, come on, guys.
I know.
And all that stuff on the bloody moped flying around.
Do you know the first thing that that disappointed me?
Yeah.
And when I realised, I don't think this is going to be as good as I remember when I first watched it, was I used to really like the 7B title sequence.
I like them. Don't you like them?
I used to really like it. I'm sorry.
I don't
Go back and watch it again, because it has not been produced by a frame store.
No.
Now, I know that they shat over the frame store title sequence when they put those fucking stupid filters over it.
That whoever's idea that was, there's a special place in hell
and
for you.
changed the logo every week. They went from that really beautifully animated logo and the TARDIS spinning out of it to just going PNG file, zoom onto the screen, warbles away.
Yeah.
And they just undid everything that was lovely about that title sequence.
It was
they
so
just royally balls that
up. It was
up.
like movie maker filters.
It literally was.
And then you those horrible logos.
And then 7B, cool, feels a bit more like a classic series title sequence. There's some cool visuals in there, but what it looks like to me is they've got 7 or 8. They've gone into the BBC stock library and gone Time Vortex, Doctor Who, Stars, Wibblies, blah blah blah, and they've just gone right. Knit that there. It zooms in, then it goes white, and then we can play the next clip. And then they've got somebody to do a really horribly animated TARDIS opening its doors.
Oh yeah, the wrong way. Yeah, the TARDIS looks naff. It looks cartoony. It's like, why does it look that bad? That bothers me.
I don't feel bad that I'm saying this, because I feel like back in the day I was like a bit too vitriolic about not liking this era.
Yeah.
And then watching this and just being like, no, I'm right. I'm sorry. I know I'm right in what I think is the case here. There's so many things here that are just not working.
Yeah, I mean,
for me,
I honestly don't mind the titles, other than the TARDIS.
The theme music's great.
I like the theme music, and I preferred it in the
Snowman when the descending chord.
Yeah,
because it sounds weird and alien.
Yeah.
Why did you get rid of it?
Yeah. I like that theme tune. Shame it didn't stay on longer.
They kind of readapted it for the 50th.
They did. That's right.
It's the same beat.
Yeah.
Should we just really quickly do the?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right?
We need
do you want to know?
Yeah.
Okay, so UK number 1, PJ and Duncan. Let's Get Ready to Rumble. They must have put it back up in the charts.
Okay.
Because I've seen sort of Matt and Dec coming out on Saturday Night Takeaway and doing it one night.
Oh, really?
And I wonder if it was like, if you can get it to number 1, we'll come back out and perform it. And
right.
so they got PJ and Duncan up to number 1.
Okay.
UK box office number 1, The Croods.
Oh, okay, that animated film.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Don't worry, the video games that came out this year. Call of Duty Ghosts.
Okay.
GTA 5.
Right, yeah.
A game so good they literally will not make 6
I know,
until
I was
they've wrung every.
Is it that old?
Yeah, that's when the game
hell.
first came out on PlayStation 3, and now they want us to get it for PlayStation 5.
Wow.
They're doing a PlayStation 5 version. The Last of Us.
Oh, classic.
And BioShock Infinite.
Wow.
Good collection.
That
of
is
games.
a good set of games.
GTA 5 and The Last of Us almost rivals all of the other games that are on the list for 2010. I reckon.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like. Big scale games.
Wow. Yeah, legacy. The legacy of those games. My God. Clara.
Go on. Do your Clara bit.
I like Clara.
You like Clara?
I like her in this series.
I didn't mind her at all.
I thought she was really good. I was like, I really like you. It's a shame that they shit all over you later on.
But she's not Matt's companion. In that same way that you look at Liz with John and think, doesn't work.
No.
Just visually, there's something wrong about that pairing. And then when she's with Capaldi, it just, like, that's those...
Yeah.
That's the companion pairing.
Yeah.
As good as Bill Potts and Nardole are, when I think of the 12th Doctor, if I have to put any companion next to him, it's her. Clara. It's doing that kind of end of the world, Beast Below thing, where sensory overload...
Yeah.
Walking through a bazaar, we've pulled all the props and costumes out of the cupboard and dressed everybody up we can find in them. Some of them we haven't even had time to paint the eyes to blend the mask in.
Oh, really?
So some of them are just like ood masks.
Shove this on your head.
With real eyes just poking out.
There's like a Hoix creature, isn't there? One of the Hoix.
There is.
I love how we know the name of the Hoix only because of the toy.
Yeah.
No one would know otherwise.
It's great. I think it's interesting that obviously Rose and Amy and Clara get that initial here's alienness and that opening scene actually I really enjoyed with the whole keep your eyes shut thing.
Yes,
I thought that was really beautifully done.
I
think that's probably the best scene in that entire story.
It goes downhill. It's like the setup's much better than anything that comes afterwards.
It's like you open your eyes and go wow, it's a shame that none of this means anything. But I think that one of the reasons the fam, I think, maybe weren't quite so accepted into the kind of the fan consciousness maybe as companions is they never really got their kind of like, here's a bunch of aliens and you see them all reacting to stuff. It happens over drips and drabs. Yeah. But they're very quick to just accept everything that's going on around them. Not to say that Clara isn't. And I'm not trying to compare one thing when it's doing the same sort of thing. But they have their cool get out of that one cliffhanger moment. Yeah. And then they have that whole thing on an alien planet. But they just kind of land on desolation and it's just kind of a planet they're on. There's no sort of like, Clara just complete like, I don't know where to look. What is going on? This is crazy. They don't really get that. No. Because then immediately it's Rosa. Yeah. And they're already comfortable with time travel and going back in time. Yeah. They just take to it a bit too easily. And I think you need a culture shock moment like this or a culture shock episode.
And even Bill, she has that in her first episode because she's taken to Australia, then she's off to an alien planet, then she's seeing Daleks, and it's just like, whoa.
She gets it way more than subsequent companions.
And I like that. I think that works well because I think Stephen, being clever, obviously thought, we can't just do the same old bloody thing of literally what you're saying. Here's the episode where they get introduced to all these concepts.
Where the companion goes off and has a moral dilemma of their own to deal with, usually involving a little girl, like in The Beast Below, or involving somebody that's vulnerable, like the mechanic in End of the World. Yeah. It's the same.
It's exactly,
and it's a formula that works.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bash you for doing it again because it works. It just doesn't work here as well as it has in previous ones.
Which I think is probably why they were like, right, well, let's do something completely different. And and by that point, that's series 10. But the program's been on the air for over 10 years. We know the meat and potatoes of this series now, so we know what to expect. So just give it to us quick, and we'll get on with it. But I think you're right; it didn't work with the other lot because they didn't have that. They didn't really. When did they actually meet any aliens?
Well, I guess the what are they called? The wraps, the gauze things. That
the toilet paper monsters.
Yeah. Well,
they meet Stenza man.
Stenza bloke. Yeah,
what's his name?
Toothface bloke. Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I like Clara. I think all that is really sweet with her mum. I think that's a really nice. I mean, it's very Father's Day.
When she gives the leaf.
I think her speech about the leaf is better than Matt Smith's.
Yeah, that bit's it's super sweet. It's super sweet. It's just a shame because we don't know anything about, because she's still a mystery at that point.
Yes.
And so her mum's just died. Funnily enough, dies the same day as the Auton attack in Rose. But might be a coincidence. But it's like, because that whole season is about the mystery of Clara and her mum's dead.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got this really significant moment where futures that could have happened.
Yeah.
And they're really, really focusing on Clara's mum's death. Now, I don't need to know how she died or the circumstances of Clara's mum's death. But when you've got a mystery surrounded around the character that's doing this moment, you kind of think, I can't get behind the emotional weight of you offering up this really important thing to save the world, because I don't know how she died.
Yeah.
I don't know what your relationship was like.
And it's trying to do Father's Day without the 8 or so episodes of setup beforehand, because obviously Father's Day works.
Actually, also Billie Piper's performance.
I
know they're doing different things, but I think she's probably stronger in that story.
Yeah, but we know we know Rose's mum, and we know the whole life, the whole background. We get it, but like you said, Clara, we've just met her, and then you're just getting these random flashbacks for no reason really, it sort of feels like, until it all comes to a head later on. And you never really connect with Clara in that way, because her family seems like a distant island, and then when we do finally sort of see them in that Christmas special, that's her dad? Oh, okay.
And she's got a nan.
Where did she come from? Okay.
What's their setup?
It's all a bit strange. The bit that made me laugh is the moment when they're at the graveside, and she looks the same age as her dad, and they've just put a bit of grey in his hair. It's like, what?
It doesn't help that she's dressed kind of youthfully.
Yeah.
And he's got this really trendy pea coat on.
Yeah.
It's like, this is supposed to be like 2005, right? Like, people were not wearing that.
It's really weird.
Matt Smith's performance in that monologue is exceptional.
He's really good.
It just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
There's
weird reference to Omega.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
And I remember people thinking, oh, is there going to be an Omega thing going on? No, of course there isn't. That's not interesting enough, is it?
It's strange though. I remember when it happened, and I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh yeah, that was
an Omega reference.
Omega. And I was like, oh right.
I calculated roughly 7.5 minutes of this story is either an extended musical sequence or Matt Smith's monologue.
Really?
So that's 7.5 minutes of actually quite good padding.
Yeah.
Because you've told nothing of the story.
Yeah.
And you've not wasted. You've used up 7.5 minutes of screen time on, as we said already, waffle thin plot.
Yeah.
And yet, what do you do with the rest of the time? You go there and do that thing. You go there and do that thing.
Yeah.
And then the speech, and then next week it's whatever.
Yeah.
Next week it's the next story. It's I really want to do the Ice Warrior story.
Yeah.
I want to do Cold War.
Yeah. I was saying to Johnny the other day, seeing as we've been talking about monster redesigns, and on the whole, with the exception of maybe the Silurians, they've been pretty damn good. Although I don't think maybe the Zygons work quite as well as the originals. Those original Zygons are far more monstrous and alien.
I think they're more pliable is the wrong word. I think they're more mobile. They seem like they're less thick in prosthetic.
It's really and like, but they're more like bulbous. The shape feels more alien and more, because they're supposed to be like,
it does
they're
feel
based
more
on
organic.
Embryos, weren't they?
They look
fecal,
like they look more like starfish.
Yeah,
in
they're
the
all
modern show.
Blobby.
Blobby.
Yeah, they've given them 3 fingers. That seems to be a weird thing in that era of Doctor Who. If you're a monster, you can't have 5 fingers.
No.
Because that's insane. And the Ice Warriors get the same problem. They lose the pincers.
Yeah.
And they give them 3 fingers.
That was
but
annoying.
I said to Johnny, I think that I possibly prefer the new design of the Ice Warriors to the original design.
It's pretty high
Which
praise.
is Johnny actually sort of said, yeah, I can see that.
And then we have the Empress.
And then she's really freaking cool.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
The Ice Warriors have been actually given a really good time of things. Probably, through the whole run of the show. Monster of Peladon is a bit crap. But
it's all right.
Actually, the Ice Warriors is fine. It's a bit long, but it's a 7-part story? 6.
Yeah.
And then, I love Seeds of Death.
Yeah.
It's probably my favourite Pat Troughton story. And then...
You love
Curse is my favourite story of all time.
And obviously they're used very differently, which is great.
Exactly.
Very clever.
It's like, you can have a monster that's actually... It's the first time they do that kind of switch.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're one of my favourites, is because they actually have a bit of depth to them. I love that whole kind of honour system they have.
Yeah.
Notice we're talking about...
about the other...
Cold War, rather than this story.
And I'm glad, really, that they did the Empress of Mars, which was... very much, this is a traditional Ice Warrior story.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, as good as Cold War is, and I do like Cold War, obviously it uses the Ice Warriors in a very different way.
Yeah.
To what, a classic fan would be used to. Obviously a new person just be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did sort of, not reconcile it, but you know what I mean? They sort of bookended it nicely. Right? Okay, here's your proper Ice Warrior story.
I agree.
And I like the Empress of Mars.
Empress of Mars is a really cool story.
I remember seeing people saying, this was boring. I was like, what? It's like, you could not get more Doctor Who-y than this. You could have replaced...
Maybe old Doctor Who is boring then.
Yeah. I was like, you could have replaced Peter Capaldi with John Pertwee and put it in 4x3.
It pretty much is.
Put it in 4x3 and put the John Pertwee titles on it, and it could have been made in the 70s.
Absolutely right. It's good stuff. I have got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's about Matt Smith.
All right.
Describe his Doctor in 3 words.
I mean, it's trite, but wizened old man in a young man's body.
Wizard old man in a young man's body. What does that actually say about his character, though? What is he? Tennant is a swashbuckling, horny monster, and the 6th Doctor is a bit grumpy, but very theatrical, and he's very full of himself, passionate, and the 8th Doctor's a romantic, and the 9th Doctor is hard as nails or whatever. Northern. What's his thing?
He's a
funky little twink.
Well,
that'll do.
Perhaps he is.
I can't think of anything.
I would describe
I can't hang my hat on him
as, I guess Peter Capaldi gets a bit like that, but he's like the old uncle that's trying to be cool and trying to be down with the kids.
But what does that say about his? Who is he? What emotions does he have? What's his character? I feel like it's really difficult to say, because his performance actually, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, doesn't evolve too much from Series 5 to Series 7. And watching them back to back, I was really interested to see how that changed. Yeah. I don't think there's an awful lot of evolution or development there. I don't think there needs to be, necessarily. No. But I just can't, besides him being a bit of a whirling dervish and really animated physically and having great physicality and actually looking like Doctor Who. And, he looks like a Doctor Who with the tweed and the bow tie, and looks great. Great screen presence, fantastic actor. I just don't know what his character is. I can't get a grip on him. But I love so many aspects of his performance.
Yeah.
I love his childishness. I love his physicality. I love the way he holds himself. I love the way that he looks at people. He's very intense. Certainly in Vincent and the Doctor.
Yeah.
In that sequence where he's talking to Bill Nighy, a lot of the way that episode is shot actually feels very theatrical. It feels like a lot of it is one take.
Yeah.
And because of that, you can almost see Matt Smith's almost kind of like, he can't sit still. And the way he's looking at people, he's constantly fidgeting and moving. And so he looks great on screen, but I don't know who the 11th Doctor is.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is.
And where does he go for all that time when Clara's faffing around with that girl? He walks off, and then he comes back. All right,
eating food in that bazaar or something. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
No,
but I can't get a grip on him as a character.
Something that I totally missed going back to Vincent and the Doctor, but you just mentioned it because of that opening bit with Matt. A line that was delivered, and I went, "Ooh, naff," when he talks about the painting, and we see the Crephaeus or whatever it's called in the painting, and he goes, "Oh, I know evil, and I can see evil in that painting." I was like, whoa, that is a clunky line. You could have literally said, well, that's an alien creature.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen them before.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be in that painting. Amy, come on, we've got to sort this out. Not, it's evil, because it isn't evil. It's just a poor old blind chicken.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, that feels like a real sort of old Doctor Who throwback. And I remember when it came back, Russell said, I had to make sure people didn't use the word evil, because what is evil in that context?
It's just such an easy way to go.
It's a baddie.
We got to defeat this.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we're against in this week's episode, and
it just felt clunky. Every time I hear it, I think, that they should have done something about that. As to Matt's character,
I think I prefer him in series 5.
I do
character-wise.
too. Same. Yeah.
Again, I can't say what they are individually. I think that the 7B Doctor is much more restrained, and I think he's got a bit more of. He's carrying the world on his shoulders a bit more. I think he does the. I think I prefer him doing the sort of pathosy stuff. I think Matt Smith does that very well, and I think that you sort of get to the real heart of his Doctor. You know, the young man arsing around, playing football, or eating jammy Dodgers, and I like that.
That's like his front. That's like his Batman suit that he puts on. No, it's Bruce Wayne suit. Yeah, and I think like when you see stories like Time of the Doctor, when he's the old man, I think he does that stuff incredibly well. And it's like when you see him as this like poor old git sat in his chair, and it's like, it's like the performance now matches the body. It's finally sort of come full circle. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just words of rambling out my mouth.
No, but I know what you're saying.
Because I sort of think that in like series 6, they were like, people liked it when you did that silly giraffe dance, so be a fucking twat for the rest of the series. And it's like, maybe don't go that mad with it.
I think 7B, he does change up the character.
He does change up.
And
series 6, I think, is the issue.
Yeah, I think he needed that reset.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he could have, or I could have sustained interest.
No.
In a Doctor that's, the Doctor always needs to be challenged. In some way, and especially because people really do expect character progression and a payoff to. You didn't need that back in the day when Doctor Who was on basically 52 weeks of the year.
No, of course not.
It could say the same lines every single week, and it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we expect a lot more character development and a lot more exploration of the Doctor. And I don't think we were going to get that with Series 5 Matt Smith.
No.
When he's challenged, when he's backed into a corner, I think he's exceptional.
Yeah.
Like the whole Pandorica sequence.
Yes.
He's great in that.
Very good.
When you get the impression he's barely holding the strings, the fabric of the universe together.
I watched that sequence the other day. I think it was because I was moving the toys around, and I was like, God, I remember that being such a good, sequence being so good. And I watched it, and I sort of did get that same goosebumpy feeling that I got when I watched it the first time. Yeah. His performance, the score, the way it's shot, it really does feel like, oh my God, he's knackered. They've defeated him. Finally, after all this time, they've all got together, and you've had it, Doctor. And he just does it so well. Like the pleading, please, I'm begging you. I'm not at fault here. This is all going to go tits up if you do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, it's good. It's really good Doctor Who, that.
It's really good. I also think that the Doctor's character becomes the show as well. The Doctor's character becomes the enigma. Yeah. It becomes the question. Yeah. It doesn't need to be that. No. You know, fine if you want to make it, you know, self-referential and meta and all that kind of stuff, and you want to start calling Daleks Rusty to reference your mates. And you want to be kind of insider jokey about it. Yeah. But when you're constantly being told how important and special the Doctor is, or an individual is, you have to show me something, and I don't get it from his Doctor. It's
really bizarre what they did with his Doctor, because there seemed to be a sort of a conscious effort to be like, right, okay, Time War and all that stuff, that's done. That was Russell's, you know, we'll maybe make a vague reference to it here and there.
But he's not damaged by it anymore.
But he's, you know, he's shed that old body away. This is a new Doctor. You know, it comes up in the 50th, doesn't it? It's like, oh, well, I've forgotten, you know, because I've lived for so much longer. And you do, you know, as anyone who's gone through some sort of a trauma or grief, you know, things do. It doesn't go away.
But it just recesses a little bit, and you get used to it.
You know, and I think the Time War thing made the Doctor, David and Chris, he's very important because he is this old survivor, and, you know, he's the last of his kind, and blah 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 blah. And it, you know, like you said earlier, the weight is on his shoulders,
and that makes the Doctor interesting in a room full of people, because everybody goes, "Do you know that he's the last Time Lord?"
And it worked in 2005 because everyone was like, "What the frig's happening here?" You know,
what is a Time Lord? Yeah, you know, whispers. It actually makes the Doctor mysterious in that context.
Yeah. And so then to strip that and be like, okay, so we'll get rid of that and we'll just bring the Doctor sort of back to basics. And then to go, well, actually, you need something. Doctor Who? The old problem. Question is like,
that's the problem. Yeah. Like when you've revealed everything about the Doctor's character, what are you left with? Well, the title of the show. Yeah. Doctor Who. Okay, then Doctor Who. Don't know yet. Yeah. Okay, are we going to get it this year? Because Missy has just said it. Okay, interesting. The whole name thing. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to know.
I know.
I don't want to know. No. Oh.
What was that all about? Like, what was it all about? The first question
will be answered when his name
the first
is said on Trenzalore on the day of his death in the year of our Lord. And the sun has to be over there, and that leaf has to be there, and that caterpillar has to be pregnant.
So, I mean, I feel like we could do a whole video just on this crap. But so the first question is Doctor Who. That is the first question. But what?
He walks in eternity, Matthew.
What does this even mean? Like, what does it mean? I mean,
it's just a really cool way to end your season, to have an ancillary character that doesn't actually matter or contribute much to the plot, screaming the show's title at you, and then having the main character turn around and look directly down the camera at you as the word Doctor Who is being screamed, and then the theme music starts, and then you go, I guess I just watched Doctor Who then. That's what that was.
And then you've got the Daleks chanting it, don't you? And then he's doing it. He's spinning around the console going, Doctor Who, Doctor Who.
They erase the Daleks from his memory.
Yeah.
In that era. Yeah. Earlier that year or that same season.
And then they realise by Time of the Doctor, that
was a really bad thing
idea.
To do.
We'll pretend that never happened. Yeah, there's a lot of missteps and step backs, isn't there? But I still don't really. What does Clara say? Is that what she says to the Time Lords in the crack? Because the crack, Amy's crack, is all about the Time Lords. Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. What is she? Is that what did she say? Doctor Who to the Time Lords, and they go, "Oh yes, that famous BBC series. Here we go. Here's some extra regenerations." Well, does she know the Doctor's name? I can't remember, Billy. It's all such bollocks. I just
he's rewarded because he put Gallifrey in a pocket universe which was behind the crack. Yeah. It was breaking through space and time. And I guess by the time the Doctors happened, that the event that creates the crack has started. Because Gallifrey is through the other side of that crack, right?
Yeah, Gallifrey is on the other side of the crack. Yeah. But isn't it the Doctor saying... If the Doctor says his name to the crack, the Time Lords will come back. That's it, isn't it? If he answers the question, Doctor Who, and he says, my name isn't the Doctor, my name is Jeff.
Yeah.
And then bloody the General Warbucks, the bold bloke, comes along and goes, all right, lads, off we go, back into the universe. And then everyone's like, oh, bloody hell, the Daleks are going to all kick off again. Isn't that it? Is that the whole thing?
They're worried about Time War 2.0.
Yeah. Coming soon for Big Finish Productions.
Because the Time Lords are going to come out and they're going to be pissed, man.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, we've been locked in this thing for ages.
It's going to be like the bloody football hooligans coming out.
Well, come on, man. Just grabbing Daleks, sync plungers and ripping them off. We've been in that crack for bloody 3 seasons, and we don't know why.
Stuck in Amy's crack for 3 seasons.
We gave Rory some regeneration energy. Remember that when the didn't he get shot by a Silurian? And then light came out of the crack and then imbued him with some sort of regeneration
he just got sucked
energy.
Into the crack, didn't he? He died. He got wiped from reality.
So that's what happens when you go into the crack.
I don't know. Well, I guess at the end of the day, he was obviously making it up as he was going along, because I can't imagine he was like Gallifrey's on the other side of that.
That's one thing I don't get an impression of with Chris Chibnall. I don't think he's making it up as he goes along.
Yeah, I think Chris Chibnall has more of an idea of what he wants to do.
I think he's got a road. 3 years and out.
Yeah,
he had a roadmap.
Yeah, and obviously that's interesting because it was initially, we have a 5-year plan for Doctor Who. I've only wanted to do it for 3 years. What?
Yeah,
your maths doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense there. But I think this is just my issue with that era, is that nothing feels cohesive.
You can't tie it down.
No, you can't tie it down. It's
like
just like you're grabbing at stuff and then it's just slipping through your fingers.
But I think that's Stephen Moffat going, the audience are going to second guess this. And I can't have them second guess my reveals, because why else am I here?
Yeah.
And he's gone, well, okay, if we change that now, hopefully they won't notice, and we'll just do a line where they go, I'm the Doctor, stop asking questions. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. And it's funny. You can do a gag like that, like the gag about in the what's it called, Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar. That thing where he goes, he comes in on Davros's chariot, and it's really funny.
Oh yeah, and he's got that cup of tea,
and then he ruins it. Where did I get the cup of tea?
I'm the Doctor. Just deal with it.
Shut up.
Yeah, that is so bollocks.
You're just writing.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be in the script. It's just fluff.
Yeah.
And it actually brings the whole thing down.
It does.
Because now I'm going, what?
Yeah.
I didn't need to hear that line. Now I'm like, so what? So it's too clever for its own good.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't want people to get a grip on this. We don't want them to predict what's going to happen next. And so we'll just throw buzzwords out there. I'm sure eventually hybrid. Can you put it on the whiteboard and we'll get round to it next year?
I was going to say, it does feel like he's got a dartboard up and he's chucking darts at the board, and a dart will land and then it will slowly flop out on the floor, and then he'll be like, well, next dart. And then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Or he'll pick it up and he's picked up a load of fluff and dirt and he's like, oh, well, it's not quite what I originally planned, but we'll stick it back in there anyway and just see what happens with it. And I just feel that whole Trenzlaw thing. I mean, I think the issue was that after the 50th, I think they were hoping that Matt was going to stay on for another year, and obviously he didn't. So I think everything had to be shunted forwards into Time of the Doctor. From what I understand, I could be talking nonsense, and it could just all be hearsay, but I think that was... I guess I think this is the problem.
I was told this week that Alex Horne is the new Doctor, so hearsay,
So I mean, I can understand. Oh, if you've got a plan, I think this is the trouble when you make all these bloody grand plans for this particular incarnation, because they're actors at the end of the day. They're not going to
want to move on and do their own thing.
They want to do other things, And obviously Matt's era was already cocked up by having that series split. So it was like, well, I've already done a year without actually doing a year. So he's like, I've done my bit. And he was, they worked them to the bloody bone. They did the series, and then they were on a world tour, and same with Peter.
And then they did a movie in 3D.
They did the film.
And then, they really did push him, didn't they? Somebody noticed, actually, in the photos I put up of Matt in Vincent and Matt in Rings, that he's aged quite significantly between the two. And I think that job must have been absolutely exhausting. I mean, he twisted his knee, wasn't he?
He bugged his knee.
He did his knee. He electrocuted himself doing 11th Hour. You give so much of your body.
Yeah.
So, Peter Capaldi hurt himself.
Peter did the same injury.
Jodie has as well, I think, as she mentioned. I think she was talking about injuries.
Oh, really? She done something
on a show, or it was like it's a very injury-prone show because you're running all the time.
Of course, yeah. And I remember when David did his first series, he was on This Morning, and he looked really gaunt, and he had a beard to try and obviously hide that his face was so sullen. And he said, "Oh, I've not been well." And I was like, no wonder, you've done all this massive run and then all the publicity. But it seemed like the throttle was full on for Stephen Moffat's era.
People don't want the job because of that then.
Yeah.
Maybe it just got around that, my God, you don't want that job if you want to have a life.
Yeah, and it goes back to Pat Troughton. Obviously he had a completely different schedule, but it was also obviously insanely grueling, even for a man of his age. Compared to Hartnell.
Yeah.
A much younger bloke, and then he was like, my God, this is killing me. Can't do this. Which is obviously why they cut the episodes down for Pertwee. And I guess, this is it.
I think this is the issue that I have with that whole, especially talking about this story, because I liked going back and revisiting it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like as soon as if you watch any one individual story, no matter how good or bad it is in that era, there's going to be something there that you just go, oh, but then that happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
And that didn't work.
Yeah.
And so much of that era, I'm sure you can take those episodes individually and enjoy them by themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not able to do that yet. And I'm sure I'd love to, because I don't dislike any period in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's just really frustrating when you're watching a story that you just want to watch a Doctor Who story for, and then you're reminded, oh yeah, and then that didn't get paid off, and then that, what was going on there? Because you can't have a discussion about an individual story, a Matt Smith story, without then it turning into this, or a Peter Capaldi story.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, it's either going to be Trenzalore, Doctor Who, the hybrid. Obviously, Series 1, Bad Wolf, that gets wrapped up fairly neatly. Torchwood neatly. Saxon neatly.
Yeah. The stars are going out.
Stars are going out. It was all neat and tidy, and it all
Pandorica
paid off. Pandorica worked.
The eye patches in Series 6.
Oh yeah. God, the amount. Well, that didn't even really work because who is Madame Quiverian?
I don't know. She just wanted Amy's baby.
Yeah.
Which actually still turned out to be Goop. No, it was Melody, isn't it?
It's River Song. Obviously, God, don't even get me started on River Song.
I was thinking when I put it on last night, I thought, when did everybody of my age who wasn't a Doctor Who fan like me stop watching Doctor Who? And it was this era.
Yeah.
And when I'd ask people, it was they would really simply go, it just became really difficult to follow.
Yeah.
You would miss an episode and then all of a sudden you've had 6 revelations in the space of half an hour, and now you're suddenly trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't make for good. No. For a general audience, they switched off.
Yeah.
And I have, I've got the viewing figures for this season.
And I think Sherlock was, obviously he was making Sherlock at the same time, and I think people always say, oh, Doctor Who suffered because of Sherlock, and possibly vice versa. But I think Sherlock had the same problem. It got to the point where, oh, people like this because it's clever. Well, let's be even more clever and even more meta, and it just gets too clever for its own good.
Way too clever. Vincent and the Doctor had a final rating of 7.6 mil.
Okay.
And this Rings of Akhaten had 7.4 mil.
Right.
So pretty respectable viewing figures for the time. And actually looking at it makes me go, Doctor Who's fine. Stop complaining about people not watching it. People are still watching it. Well, I think we've wrung the Matt Smith towel dry there.
For now. Because I'm sure we're going to end up doing something about River Song at some point.
I really want to do the 50th.
Trenzalore. Yeah, I think
we should maybe for the 59th anniversary we do that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be awkward because we'll be thick into Series 13. Yeah, so the next review
will likely be Flux Chapter 1, The Halloween Apocalypse,
or Trick or Treat, as I said it should have been
Trick
called.
or Treat. Much better title. We're not quite sure how that schedule works yet.
No,
we need to figure that out because I'm not going to be around for some of the Sundays that it's on.
Yeah, so we can't watch it and then record immediately after.
And then you get it the Monday.
Yeah.
Because that was the initial idea, is that we could record it on the Sunday night.
Yeah.
After watching it, and then it'll be out on the Monday.
Yeah.
We might be able to do that for like one.
Yeah.
But I think realistically, we might have to change the day we record. It might not be Wednesdays.
We might have to change it.
Maybe we do Monday nights or something.
Yeah, I'll see what can be done.
And then we'll probably cut from like 3 cameras down to 1, so it's less effort for Matt to edit.
Yeah.
But you'll still get this. It's just you won't cut.
You won't be cutting around.
Like right then, and like to Matt, like right now, and then back to me, like right now, and then I'm just making more work for him.
Yeah, fucking bastard. Go on, shut up. I think that. I think just for the 6 episodes surrounding Doctor Who being on the air, just expect the format to just change ever so slightly.
Yeah, and bear with us.
Yeah, because this is all new for us as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. I enjoyed that.
Me. Well, where's Rings of Akhaten coming in the list?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Good question.
I think I'd have to put it above Underworld.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're both studio-bound stories with naff special effects, or fairly naff.
But Rings of Akhaten special effects compared to every time.
It's because I'm living back at home. Yeah, I think Underworld is probably, and it's a longer slog, 4 episodes as well. At least this, you can watch it in 45 minutes and be like, all right, well, I'll watch something else as a palate cleanser. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not like it's terribly shit. And actually, this is the one point that I made in my notes that I haven't brought up. This was voted the worst Matt Smith story. This is not the worst Matt Smith story.
Yeah.
Not by a long chalk.
No.
It's that friggin' shit Christmas special. I'm in a wardrobe. That's the one.
I'm in a wardrobe.
Yeah. God, that is so awfully bad.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's not great.
It's poo. And it's just all the dopey stuff, like when he's in the spacesuit. Oh, my spacesuit's back. Oh, no, come on, for God's sake! And don't give me that. Oh, but it's Christmas. Fucking hell, come on. We have bloody David Tennant bloody dying on Christmas Day in 2000 and whatever.
I think our next regular review. Wait, Christmas. We'll have to do a Christmas thing coming up soon.
Oh shit!
So we'll do the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe then. See you next time on the review of Death.